You guys loved the way that I was playing Call of Duty Warzone. I'm not a kill race person going for 30 plus kills a game, but I'm also not a camper. I play more methodical and tactical, unlike most players. And you guys really loved how me and my brother were playing together. And you guys actually wanted to learn more about how to play that way. So you asked, and here you go. This video is me explaining a little bit about myself and what I do in this game, why I make decisions, the communications that I do, and all that leads up into the consistency that me and my brother have and how we always tend to get those top 5 finishes, if not almost guaranteed wins every single time. So if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want more stuff like this, any tutorials or anything like that. Let me know and I'll be happy to get those out to you. But hope you guys do enjoy. Let's jump right into it.
We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to.
Where do you want to go? Picking where you want to drop can be tricky in games like this. The way I like to decide is not necessarily based off of where the first circle is, as it doesn't play a huge part into the game. It's just the basic starting zone of where everyone's going to start headed. There are a few keys that you want to keep in mind when picking your landing drop. For me, these are the keys that I decide. 1, distance. How far away am I going to be running usually in the game? With this circle that you can see here, it pulled to the east, which means the zones are probably gonna stay in that eastern side of the map. So places like the Hafid Port, Al Safa Quarry, Sewa Village, not the best idea. Not necessarily because they're outside of the zone, but because they are on the furthest west. So if the zones keep pulling east, we're gonna be running a long way. At the same idea, I'm not a big RNG fighter. Meaning, I don't like landing in super heavily populated areas where the loot is scarce and it is a race to get a gun and luck is not on your side. So ideas like Al Mazrah City, the Zaya Observatory, the Al Malik Airport, the Al Bagra Fortress, and in some cases, the Zarqwa Hydroelectric are extremely hot locations. So I tend to not go there. But when picking your spot, you want to make sure that a couple things are also in play. How much loot is going to be there? You want to make sure that there's enough loot for you and your teammates to get stacked up and ready for the fights to come. Let's go to the village. Somebody just got bought back literally right where we were just at the buy station right next to me.
A few moments later.
Do I need to come back to you then?
Downed him. Literally on me, Dixon. He's on the building that I just came from, right here. A quick tip for you guys here into how me and Dixon usually get our wins. Communication. In this situation, I communicated that someone was nearby. However, I neglected to tell him that I was pushing and ended up getting into a fight where I was not backed up by my team. In this game with Warzone 2, it is all about team fights. Yes, if you are a really good player, you could maybe get these fights off, but for a player like me or for the casual player, making sure you have your teammate with you is going to get you the win more often than not. So make sure before you take any fights, you communicate to your team what your plan is and that you're both in on it before you take a fight. Let me talk a little bit about early game rotation. In this game, me and Dixon got lucky with the zone. We did land more centralized into the zone, so we didn't have to rotate as far. But the reason we stayed in the Akhtar village so long is because it was a hot rotation zone. A lot of teams actually rotated through that we were able to get some picks off of. However, coming into the rotation where you're actually getting into that early to mid-game rotation here, you want to keep aware of a couple things. Warzone 2 can have the chance to split into 2 or 3 zones. So what you're looking at here is a game where it's split into 3 zones. Now, the early rotation for this is as follows. First step, focus on your zone. Be aware of the different locations that people could be in your zone. As the zones, however, start to close, notice which zone is going to attach first to yours. That's the next one you want to be aware of. Where are the possible locations that people could be there as they rotate into the safe zone? And what's the chances of you running into them with your rotation? And then finally, keep an eye on that third zone. As it opens, where are those people going to be? What are the chances of you running into them with your rotation? Choosing how to rotate is a very critical point. A lot of people think that going to the exact center of the zone is the best idea. I think different. While yes, being in the middle of the zone means that you have less distance that you have to travel in case the zone does pull away, it also means you are the middle of a sandwich. In other words, everybody's looking at you. You can get shot from anywhere. I like to stay along the outsides as I rotate in. So my idea, rotate along the left-hand side since I know the third zone is going to be the one that touches us last. And so that means I have more time to prepare and actually sneak up on enemies rotating in. Make sure that you pick your rotation to keep you along the outskirts and give you the better chance of fighting someone from the outside in. Here, let's get this building. Let's take this. Let's clear this building and take it. The mid game is where things start to ramp up a bit. It requires a lot more thought and a lot more patience. When it comes to selecting how you want to rotate in the mid game, a couple things you want to keep in mind. One, where is your circle? If it's out in the middle of the open, it is better for you to stay on the outside of the zone and look in and just try to find whatever cover you can from that outside. However, the vice versa applies in the cities and villages. While you do want to stay more towards the edge, at the same time, you want to provide yourself with high ground. The higher you are up, the easier it is for you to take the advantage. You can't get shot from a lot of different angles when you're high up. You do want to make sure that you don't get too deep into the zone just to get that cover, as again, you'll be sandwiched and everybody will be looking towards you and know exactly where you are. Doesn't give you the edge in there. So make sure that when you rotate, you keep yourself alert of your surroundings, your cover, and where the possible locations that other enemy teams could be hiding. We got to move up the hill. Let's talk a little bit about positioning yourselves. In the mid to late game, that little transition where a lot of the teams are going to be dropping off the game and it comes down to the end game, you want to make sure you're putting yourself in the best position possible to win. With that in mind, let's go over two possible rotation ideas here. The first is wrapping to the north. By going to the north, you do not have to risk any uphill battles. You are staying on the low ground and wrapping around. However, a lot of the teams are going to be coming from the north as the zone pulled from the north to the south in this current game, which means a lot of players you're going to be running into as you make this rotation. So if you want to go for a lot more kills, this is the rotation you want to make as you are coming into more fights. But you do have to be aware that there's a lot of teams, which is third, fourth, and fifth parties. Plus, if you take too long in these fights, you're going to have to deal with a gas. The other option you can face is the wrap south. Now, this one is my preferred route, as one, it pushes us uphill. So that entire uphill battle could be a little bit risky in the early development, but if you're able to survive that push, wipe out any team that has that high ground, you are now kings of the hill. You own the high ground and the zone pulled in your direction, which means the chances of the zone keeping pulling to the south is more higher, even though it's not 100%. So you're giving yourself high ground, meaning everybody else in the late game will have to push up to you while you just beam them from above. Check every angle.
Right here.
Downed him.
Another one behind him.
Got him.
Behind him.
I got the kill.
Flashed him.
Another one coming over here. Another one coming from over there.
Knocked him.
Gonna get myself off. Give me cover.
I got you. I got you.
Got them all. Team wipe.
Yes.
Let's see where the zone goes. We're safe here. We're safer. Let's sit. Let's sit.
Yeah, you got the bridge. I'm using the bridge as cover.
Gas is closing in.
There's a cement
Relocating
digger
the
Oh,
safe
Dixon,
zone.
they got advantage other side of the road. You have worked your butt off to reach this moment, the end game. This is where all your hard work, all your effort, and all your thought process comes down to whether you walk away with the win or whether you go home a loser. This is a couple things I want to talk about before we talk about rotation. Be aware of how many teams and players are left. It may be 4 teams left. However, you got to look at how many players are left. That way you know each team is either a 2v2, v2, v2, or there could be some solos out there that you could use to your advantage. That knowledge alone allows you to be ready for any fight possible. The next thing you want to look at is your inventory. What kind of utilities do you have? Do you have plenty of ammo, armor, and other utilities? One of the big key things you want to look for is a gas mask. If you have a gas mask, you can play a lot slower than you think you can. You're not in a rush, as the gas will not hurt you for the few seconds that that gas mask is available. The next item you want to be aware of is any score streaks, whether that be UAVs, cluster strikes, cluster mines, bomb drones, precision strikes, anything of the sort, as these can be used as either attack weapons or, the way I like to use them, as deterrents, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now I want to talk a little bit about the rotation in the late game. With this current zone, there's a couple things you got to notice. The land to water ratio is 50-50, which means there's half of the circle on land, half the circle is water. So the advantage clearly is those with the most land. So you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself on that spot. However, a lot of other players are going to be doing that. So you need to make sure to rotate correctly so that you are not sandwiching yourself, but at the same time, putting yourself in a position that you can get quick kills and give yourself that quick win. There are two ways you can rotate out of this circle. The first is to the right. Now, when you rotate to the right, you have a lot of water to cover. However, it is probably going to be less populated. Less teams are going to go this direction because of how much water there is. So you may not have to fight as much, but you will have less resistance into it. You may still have to fight at least one team, but at least there's less resistance into that zone. The second option is the one I prefer. Again, the early game makes it a little bit difficult, but it sets you up in a better position later. I would rather wrap to the left here. Reason being, there's less water for you to cross, which means there's less time you're in there, making it harder for the other teams to actually shoot you because you have your full mobility. You do have to be aware of where teams are going to be coming from. Because in this current game, the zone pulled from north to south, a lot of the teams are going to be on this north side. So they're going to be fighting for this early area to get the majority of the land. So that's your opportunity to wrap in, get behind them, or at least give yourself an angle to shoot at someone and give yourself that quick kill, giving you control of the land.
Way down there. I just saw someone rotate right there. Yep, right there.
This is a good opportunity for me to talk about your score streak. Like I said earlier, there are two ways you can use score streaks. Either A, attacking to either finish a kill you got or to just get some kills in general. Or B, the way I choose to use it here, a deterrent. I know the gas is closing and I know we still aren't safe. And there's gonna have to be a fight between me and a team here now. The idea that I had here was use the score streak over where I believed another team could be, that my brother even saw and called out. So by me placing it there, it doesn't allow the team to really push up any further in fear of that score streak. So that buys me and my brother time to take a fight here close to us and be able to finish that up and be ready for the final fights. I'm gonna put that precision right there on the antenna. I tagged him up. Downed him. Finished. The very final fight, there's not really any tactical way to do it. It is a 2v2 or 2v1 situation, or however many there are left in the game mode that you're playing. All this comes down to is communicating with your teammates, playing the best you can, getting the kills, and come away with the victory. Just be aware of the gas, what utilities you have, and play the best of your abilities. Guy on the island. One of the teammates on the island. One of the teammate onto the left here. Tight left. Oh, Dixon behind! I'm popping self. I'm popping self. I'm popping self.
Pop himself now. He's the guy pushing up down. Right here. On the back side of this rock. That one's on that.
I got it! Let's go! Woo! 12, baby, for me on that one. And there you have it. I've gone through and broken down my thought process from game to game, giving you all the different tactical ideas that I usually try to look at when I'm playing the game. between the rotations, my drop spots, and even late game utilization. Like I said, I'm not the best Warzone player by far. I can't go out and get 30 kills and still get a dub. However, I can definitely get wins on a more consistent basis while still getting eliminations. On some of my lower end games, I walk away with about 6 or 7 kills. On my high end games, like that last one you just saw, I ended with 12, and I can get up to at least 15 in some wins that I've had in the past. So, if this guide did help you guys and you guys did enjoy it and want to learn more about it, make sure you guys catch the live streams. More Warzone is definitely to come, especially as I start going for my first solo win ever in any Warzone game coming in the next couple weeks. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, as more content is rolling out here in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare between the Camo grind and the Warzone grind. I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.